pay for it. California already leads the world in incarceration with more than 175,000 people in our state prisons and county jails. For the past 3 decades, California's prison population has grown more than 700%. Currently, California spends over $10 billion of state general fund money to incarcerate men, women, and children in California. That exceeds what the same state general fund spends on the University of California system, which is only $3.8 billion a year, and also exceeds what they spend for the California State College system, which only spends $3.3 billion a year. This initiative will use your taxpayer dollars at the rate of an additional $1 billion the first year and an additional $500 million every year thereafter on top of the $10 billion that we already spend to incarcerate men, women, and children in California. And I'll end with this, and I'll push my button again. The Daily News, which takes every opportunity to use the word gangs in their articles, very conservative paper here in Los Angeles. It was just yesterday that they came out with this headline, and it says, gang affiliation blamed for only 1 of 6 local weekend slayings. This initiative tries to only address the issues of people who are affiliated and or considered gang members. That means that this expensive initiative will not address the issue of the other 5 killings that occurred.
The Safe Neighborhoods Initiative is sometimes called the Runner Initiative because it was written by California State Senator George Runner. District 12 Councilmember Greg Smith says we've got to fight gangs and believes the Safe Neighborhoods Initiative is something we need to do.
First of all, this doesn't go after kids. This enhances the way that we deal with children as juvenile offenders of criminal activities, not selling drugs or stealing pizzas, but violent gang crime. And all it does, it says that those fitness hearings are no longer just a DA going to a judge. It says the DA has the option to go to the judge, and if the judge so is determined, then that child will be treated as an adult, but with a jury trial. We don't take them out of the system. We don't obliterate their rights. We actually give them more rights, because instead of standing before a judge, they're standing before a jury. And that's what that does when you're talking about children. Let's talk what else it does. It creates a commission to determine early intervention and rehabilitation programs. Our own city controller said we do a horrible job in that. We give money to programs we haven't audited in years. We don't know what we're getting from them. Quite frankly, and I've been around this building 30 years, I think half our money is wasted on the programs because the programs aren't doing the right things. And we could give it to the good programs. We don't know who they are. And we need to find that out. And that's what that commission will do. It prohibits the release of illegal immigrants who are arrested in violent felonies, not stealing a pizza or dealing drugs, violent felonies or gang crimes prior to trial. It says if you're an illegal immigrant, you're going to stay in jail till you have an opportunity to be tried by a jury. Protects victims' rights by strengthening our victim witness program. And one of the biggest problems we have, and as a law enforcement officer I can tell you, is getting people to come forward who are willing to testify because they're afraid of the gang involvement in these communities. It ensures everyone receives of public housing benefits cannot get those benefits if they have been convicted of of gang activity or illegal possession of firearms. We're not going to continue to subsidize these people in our public housing projects if they have a criminal record. We're already doing some of that now in our housing department in checking criminal records. Has a 10-year penalty enhancement on all gang offenders who commit violent felonies. Again, violent felonies, not selling drugs, not stealing pizzas. It adds methamphetamine to cocaine as the same level of a crime. So methamphetamines, which are destroying our communities, is now treated on the same level as cocaine. It streamlines the criminal gang justice injunction program. I am sure the ACLU hates that, but that's too darn bad. We must go after gangs, and we must get these injunctions against them. And ACLU, take a hike. I really don't care whether you like it or not. It adopts a use a gun, lose your car program. You know what? We just had that in our committee just last week and sent it to the city attorney for drafting. We're doing the same thing here. Has matching funds for local law enforcement and after-school programs. you know, I agree with you that some of this is coming out of the general fund, but it also has enhancements on criminal arrest and allows for penalties to be increased to pay for some of this. I will grant you not all of it is coming directly out of that reimbursement, but it also reimburses local police agencies, sheriffs, and other agencies and after-school programs. Creates a parole mentoring and workforce preparation program, has GPS tracking funding. We're already doing that in the state of California, and it dedicates funding to the county sheriffs for gangs and jail enforcement programs. Ladies and gentlemen, two-thirds of the stuff we're doing already in different ways and in different functions. It just enhances some of it and coordinates much of it. More importantly, it provides local funding back to local governments, and particularly our Sheriff's Department, to do some of this. It increases some of those functions you were concerned about as far as intervention. It doesn't eliminate them. It increases it. Yeah, we got to pay for this stuff, but we've been saying around this city for the last couple of years, and Janice Hahn, you've been the outspoken leader in this, and Mr. Carnes, I'm surprised that you've also been a leader in saying we've got to fight gangs. Well, you got to fight gangs. You can't just pick and choose a few feel-good programs. You got to do it across the board, and that's what this initiative will do. I think it's the right thing to do, and that's why 40 police chiefs in the city and the state of California have endorsed it. That's why a dozen DAs have endorsed it. It is the right proposal. It is the right project. It is the right initiative to deal with gangs, and then let us as a city do what we've been talking about and get our intervention programs going. And let's fund them, and let's make them real.
Supporting the opposition of the Safe Neighborhoods Initiative, District 15 Councilmember Janice Hahn contends that there may be some positive parts of the initiative, but believes we need to move in a different direction.
This is the wrong way to go about this issue. We have been fighting this war on gangs for over 20 years just here in Los Angeles, and yet we have 7 times the number of gangs. We have twice the number of gang members. What we are doing so far by arresting and putting people in jail is not solving the problem. In fact, it's making it worse. It's time for us to try a different tack. It's time for us to invest more money on the front end of people's lives instead of the back end of their lives in jail. We know that we're spending $10 billion a year on our jails. We know we're only spending $7 billion a year on higher education. And we know that when people are arrested and go to jail, the recidivism rate is 70%. We're not giving people a second chance. We're not doing all we can to prevent people from joining gangs in the first place. That's why I think we ought to put our time and our effort on a different initiative in November, one that will raise $30 million a year to be spent on prevention programs and after-school programs and job training programs.
If I could ask the audience, excuse me, Ms. Hahn, if I could ask the audience to refrain from the applause and other comments because it interrupts the speaker's time. And Ms. Hahn, I'll give you your time back on that, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.
I actually kind of like the applause. But I think we need to move in a different direction, and I'm very proud of this city council because I do believe while we oppose this today, I think what we are going to do is put something on the ballot in November which will make a big difference in kids' lives. It will show kids that we want to give them real choices, real opportunities to stay out of gangs in the first place. That's the way to fight the war on gangs, not by spending more money on jails and prisons.
Also opposing the Safe Neighborhoods Initiative and calling it a wolf in sheep's clothing, Council President Eric Garcetti points to what, in his opinion, is the good and bad of the measure.
There are things that are in this that we all can agree on are actually good. More money for prevention and intervention programs are good things. Being able to look at centers to investigate child abuse and assist crime victims, nobody's going to be against those. But we all know that there's a poison pill in this initiative. It's just like Prop 98. Many of us probably agree that the government shouldn't take people's homes to build commercial centers, and that's what Prop 99 was. Prop 98 pretended it was that, but it also ended rent control and rent stabilization laws. Similarly to this is a real wolf in sheep's clothing, because the good stuff that is in here, which none of us oppose, in the audience and here, those things that we do believe are not just being tough on crime, but tough on the sources of crime, which means investing in people early or intervening in their lives later, and not just being soft and touchy-feely. We know that a carrot and a stick works together, but when we only have the stick and no carrot, we begin to have the sort of society that we see reflected right now. I think some of these parts of this are unconstitutional. Right now, to check every single person who lives in public housing with a criminal background check, and to not do that in Bel Air, and to not do that in Encino, and to not do that in Boyle Heights, is creating a society in which, by virtue of how much money you have, you get a criminal background check or not. That's unconstitutional. That's un-American. When we look at also the laws that are in here as well, you know, we don't want to do the good things by stealing from our schools, stealing from our hospitals, stealing from our healthcare system, which right now has the lowest reimbursement rate of any state Medicare program in the country, or Medicaid program in the country, excuse me. We don't want to steal from the road improvements we need. We don't want to steal from our job training. That's what this does. It says, we want to do a whole bunch of stuff, much of which you'll agree with. But by the way, we're going to have to take it from the state budget. And what's in that state budget? Everything else that we have an obligation for. It's the reason that we have to stand up together with differences of opinion in this room about which aspects are good and which are bad. We can agree to disagree, but where we should all come together is the Runner Initiative must be defeated.
Saying this is not a measure to reduce gang violence, District 7 Councilmember Richard Alarcon gives his view on the initiative and says we have to be willing to mobilize.
George Runner's right. If we took every 14 to 25-year-old male and put them in a ship to Siberia and lock them away for life, we would reduce gang violence. There's no question in my mind about that. But what kind of society would we have created? In fact, we've created a society that incarcerates more young people than anywhere in the world. And I don't think it's done that much good for our society. I think that we still have problems with violence. No, this measure is not about reducing gang violence. This is simply a Republican effort to seize control of the legislative process because they can't adhere to the democratic process that is in place, and they can't win. So they come up with some bogus proposal that sounds pretty good on the outside, and then they try to sell it to a general public on the margins by getting those people who switch back and forth to vote for it this time and carry the majority, when in fact you couldn't get something like this through the legislature in the next century. So we have to be not just supportive of this measure to kill what has some really horrendous provisions. We have to be willing to mobilize. And so I want to thank those of you who are here to testify against this measure, but you have to triplicate and multiply your efforts to make sure that people understand exactly what this measure is. It is an effort for Republicans to steal an issue and say that the Democrats are evil beings, and notwithstanding the fact that Democrats are the majority in this state, they keep getting elected because they understand the pulse of California. Republicans can fight all they want for these crazy initiatives, but they will not prevail at the end because of people like you who get out to the streets and inform the public about what is going on.
We have to get beyond the name of the initiative and realize we're putting our youth in greater jeopardy than ever before, according to District 8 Councilmember Bernard Parks, who also says we can't invest in just one segment of the justice system and expect to create safe neighborhoods.
I think the issues that are in this initiative are several problems. One, I think it's mislabeled. I don't think it creates safer neighborhoods. Having 38 years in law enforcement, I don't believe you can only invest, and we've seen this for the last 4 decades, invest in only a portion of the system. If you do not invest in prevention, intervention, education, enforcement, incarceration, and rehabilitation, you do not have a system. To create many of these initiatives that center around 14-year-old kids who have not really gotten to the point of being able to make adult decisions, but put them in a situation that they might end up being in prison the rest of their life, to take money away from the very things that prevent them from getting involved in crime, I think creates unsafe neighborhoods. I think we only have to look at the way that this council dealt with its budget this year in returning money for libraries, buying more books, putting more money in graffiti removal, finding more money to deal with youth and prevention and intervention is the way to go. You do not rob those programs to build more prisons. I think what we have to look at, it is not a good state if all we have is law enforcement and prisons. It's not a good city if we have nothing to offer young people other than more enforcement. And so we have to get beyond just the name of this initiative, push back from it as it relates to what is being asked us to do, read the fine detail, and realize that we're putting our youth in greater jeopardy than at any time before. When we start a process of taking discretion away from judges, taking discretion away from DAs, that is the kind of thing that then you can start addressing these criminal problems and these social problems by a computer without the sensitivity of human beings looking at young people case by case and finding a solution for them. I think it's something that's important that we take this stand that clearly send a message that something is mislabeled, it will misrepresent, and we as a city should not stand or support it.
Giving statistics on incarceration, District 11 Councilmember Bill Rosendahl refers to what he calls bad laws and offers his solution in dealing with the gang problem.
We have 2.3 million people in prison. We are 5% of the world's population, and yet we have 25% of the world's incarceration. We have more people in prison than anybody on the planet, including China, which has 1.3 billion people, and they don't have as many people in prison as us. We criminalize and we throw kids away, and their lives never, ever come back once they get caught into that criminal justice system. Frankly, what we need are politicians in Washington that finally get up and say, you know, those drug laws of the 70s and 80s are bad laws. They should treat that as health issues, addiction issues, not criminal issues. Ever since they put those tough drug laws in place, the prisons have mushroomed. Mushroomed to the degree where we spend more money on prisons than we do on schools, more money on prisons than we do on after-school programs, more money on schools than we do on anything else regarding our youth. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's insane. Why do you think gangs exist and exist in such large numbers? Well, because you've set up territories and you sell illegal drugs. You're able to fund yourself. You're able to feel a little good. It's better than making $7.50 an hour in some people's minds. It's an alluring thing of insanity. These drug laws have caused an underground, have caused a criminal industrial system. It is actually sick with what it has done. What we need to do is take a deep breath, revisit our drug laws, because once you get rid of those crazy laws, the kids can't form gangs to sell illegal drugs to begin with. There'll be no incentive to fill up your wallet with money. They could much rather go to college or trade school or after-school programs. So of course, Ms. Hahn's ballot initiative is a no-brainer. I mean, my God, if we can't do prevention and intervention programs, what good are we as a nation?
Speaking for a second time, Tony Cardenas addresses the cost of the program and summarizes the resolution.
This is not new funding. This is going to take away from other funding and is going to tie the hands of local government and the state of California to do things strategically instead of just do things piecemeal like this initiative talks about. I urge my council colleagues to please vote for this resolution, which basically states the City Council of the City of Los Angeles actually opposes this safe neighborhoods, so-called safe neighborhoods initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. There are no further speakers in the queue. Madam Clerk, would you please review what is before us before we take a vote?
The matter before council is the communication from the chair which opposes this initiative.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote?
9 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you very much.
LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of City Council meetings and programming about City Department services and events. If you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. We invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. Remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can also watch the replay of all the week's meetings beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. On Sunday at 9:30 a.m. That concludes our program for the week ending June 13th, 2008. On behalf of Jack Popejoy and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Rasha Goel. Thank you for watching, and please do join us for the next Council Week in Review.
And it's Takashi Saito, number 44 of the Los Angeles Dodgers, approaching the mound. This all-star relief pitcher is the 2008 honoree for the Hope of Los Angeles Award for the City of LA's Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. Takashi Saito is the 6th Japanese player in Dodger history and the 20th Japanese pitcher to earn a victory in Major League Baseball. Saito made his debut in the Major League on April 9th, 2006, and finished the month with a 2-0 record and a .69 ERA. On May 15, 2006, Saito took over as the closer for the Dodgers and recorded his first Major League save. Saito is known for 3 pitches: a tight fastball in the low to mid 90 miles per hour range, a sharp slider that he uses as a strikeout pitch, and a slow curveball that he uses as a changeup. Drafted in the first round by the Yokohama Taiyo Whales in 1991, Saito played 13 seasons in Japan's Central League, compiling a record of 87 and 80. Saito had his most dominant season in 1996, striking out a total of 206 batters in only 196.2 innings. In 1998, he drove the Yokohama Bay Stars to their first Japan Series championship in 38 years. One of baseball's top relief pitchers, Saito is a candidate for the prestigious National League Cy Young Award. He was also named to the National League All-Star team for the first time, becoming the 6th native of Japan to appear in this Midsummer Classic. Record-breaking relief pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, a living inspiration to hundreds of thousands of Angelenos, Takashi Saito was honored with the Hope of Los Angeles Award in 2008 for Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
June 17th, 2008. Thank you to council members Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Labange, Perry, Rosendahl, and Weiss for being here pursuant to council rules on time. We are still awaiting Mr. Parks and Mr. Wesson to constitute a quorum. Mr. Wesson is here, and we have a quorum. So with that, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
We now have a quorum and a very good Tuesday to everybody. We are broadcast live on Channel 35 and want to welcome our viewers as well as those folks that are here in council chambers for joining us, and those in Van Nuys City Hall chambers where folks can testify remotely and watch the council meetings there as well. We meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., usually here in the John Farrell Council Chambers. Say for the first Friday of the month, we try to get out to Van Nuys to meet there and have folks who can testify remotely from City Hall. There are agendas available in the back and online. Those are made available 72 hours in advance, also through the city clerk's office. If you'd like to be heard on any items, feel free to fill out a speaker card in the back and hand it to one of the sergeants at arms. Just put the number of the item down you'd like to be heard on, or if you have general comments, just put public comment in the upper right corner, and we'll be sure to get you in the mix. With that, the first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Cardenas moves, Ms. Hahn seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Labange moves and Mr. Wesson seconds. Without objection, those will be approved.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday and there's a flag salute.
Okay. Mr. Wesson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning? If I can ask everybody to please rise in chambers for our salute to the flag.
Please rise. Right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next order of business, please. If we can run through the agenda.
Items 1 through 8 are items noticed for public hearing.
Okay. We have items 1 through 8. We are not expected to have 12 members, so these ordinances will have to go to a second reading. Anybody wishing to call any of those special? Items 1 through 8.
Mr. President, you do have a card on item 6.
Okay, we'll call 6 special for a card from the public. If on the other items, we'll open and close the public hearings. And if we can, 7, Mr. Labange. We heard it good. Ms. Hahn. Any other specials besides 6 and 7, colleagues? If not, let's go ahead and take up the balance. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
8 is passed, and 1 through 5 will go over 1 week for second reading. Next items.
Items 9 through 18 are items for which public hearings have been held. Item 9 is a commission appointment. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold number 9 on the desk as a commissioner. And
10 and 11.
Which one?
10 and 11.
10 and 11 for Ms.
Down and
Hahn.
out.
Mr. Cardenas. Oh, yes, Ms. Berry?
Needed to reconsider item 4 on behalf of Mr. Parks. I couldn't move fast enough.
Okay.
And he wants to continue that item 2 weeks. Wants
2
to
weeks?
reconsider it.
Okay, we'll reconsider that in
Okay,
just
thank
one
you.
moment. Thank you. Other specials, Mr. Cardenas? No. That leaves us 12 through 18. Nobody wishes to call any of those special. Let's go ahead then and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Let's go forthwith with 13 without objection. And if we can reconsider item 4, please open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
There's no objection. We'll continue that 2 weeks till July 1st. Seeing none, that will be continued. Next items, please.
Items 19 through 29 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Perry?
Once we approve 28, I would like for it to go forthwith.
I'm sorry, 28?
28, yes.
Okay, once we approve it, you want to go forthwith. Sorry. Any other specials, colleagues? 19 through 29. 19 through 29?
Mr. President, you do have cards on a number of those items.
Okay, which numbers?
Item 20,
Uh-huh.
22,
Uh-huh.
24,
Uh-huh.
27,
Yep.
and 28.
Okay. Call those special for cards from the public. The other ones will open and close the public hearings. And, yes, Mr. Labange?
I'm sorry, I thought they were going to do 13.
We already moved that, and we
Yeah.
went forthwith, so we'd have to suspend the rules to bring it back.
Yeah, I think so, because there was one modern, I want to know if anybody here, there was one modern amendment, verbal, to make this amendment. I'll add it to the clerk, and if he needs to tell me to do this, let me know.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Labange. That leaves us 21, 23, 25, 26, and 29. Nobody wishes to call those special. Let's go ahead and open the roll on those items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote, please.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please. If we
On the continuation agenda, item 30 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration,
on
and
desk.
there is a card on that.
Move it to committee.
Okay. Without objection, we'll move that to committee. That would be Rules and Government, but we'll jointly refer it to TCT as well. Okay. Without objection, yes. Mr. Labange.
Yeah, Mr. President, the clerk clarified the situation.
Great. So
13
we're okay?
go forward forthwith.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. All right. That brings us now to our general public comment. I'd like to invite Rick Nightingale to be our first speaker out in Van Nuys, and then after that will be Zuma Dog. Good morning, Mr. Nightingale. Don't worry. We're not starting the clock. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, good morning. My name is Rick Nightingale. Well, I had a real stunning thing over the weekend I heard on the news regarding there was no cruising down on Sunset Boulevard anymore on parts of it. I can't believe it. I mean, what more are you going to take away from everybody regarding the young adults? Hey, even me. When I say I'm going to take my Corvette out and I'm going to go cruise on one of my hot rods, my friends say, hey, man, can I go with you? I don't know how many want to go. And then you turn around, you did the same thing on Van Nuys Boulevard, but I know they cut their own throat years ago when they damaged cars and so forth. But now you turn around and take part of Sunset, and how many people from all over the world turns around and comes to see Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard, and so forth. And then this used to be the car capital of the world, per se, for, if you want to call hot rods or cruisers or custom cars or whatever. And now you take that away. I mean, when I was with the school board for a little while, I turned around and I asked the kids, what do you do on a Saturday night or something? Well, not too much, man. We go over to somebody's house, drink a little bit, get loaded and all that. And I says, and that's fun? I said, they don't even know what fun is. Like it used to be. And I know you council members, you're not that old, that you people didn't turn around and go cruising someplace or whatever. It was just innocent fun. I realize there's a lot of gang activity and so forth. And then to say the residents are complaining, that's a main fairway. If the police want to get somebody down for burning rubber, do whatever, or bad things on the side streets, then I agree. If they do it on the main streets, I agree. But to turn around and take it away from the people that they pay taxes and I pay taxes, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I go down with one of my cars, I get it, I'm going to let you put me in jail. I am not going to pay the fine. I'll sit there and let you pay the tab on it. I hope other people will do the same thing to turn around and show how they feel and see what your jails look like with more people just sitting there because they were cruising or they didn't do anything wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nightingale. Our next speaker is here in Council Chambers, Zuma Dog. After that will be Oscar Johnson. Good morning.
Yes. It's Zuma Dog, y'all, ZumaTimes.com. And Eric Garcetti just performed the first gay marriage on the steps of City Hall. And he scooped the mayor. The mayor was out of town. I'm sure he would have loved to take that. But Eric Garcetti did do the first gay marriage. But I understand it was of his previous staffers. So even that legal contract was a patronage contract of cronyism. That's just a little side note there. But congratulations. Let's see here. You heard me talking about the Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Council system and the elections. Gee, guess what happened? My friends had to take a little trip over to the city clerk's election division, and we're sorry, we forgot to count the absentee ballots. That's right, after Vera Padilla from LAUSD put a voting slate of candidates on a school memo and handed it out to all the 12-year-old kids that were allowed to vote in the election, and her name was on the ballot. She was a candidate, handed out a memo to kids with her name on it, and of course the person that I endorsed didn't win, Hugo Pacheco, except I say he did win because the Pueblos were smart and they did an early absentee ballot, write it in to avoid shadiness and corruption at the end of the election campaign, and those weren't counted. So thank you to the Zuma Dog Zappers, Zuma's activist program, who went to the clerk's office and magically the absentee ballots weren't counted. So today they're being counted. But look what happens when you don't go to show up. They don't count things, and they knew that would. So we might see a change in here, and it's shady. And speaking of corruption and racketeering and RICO violations, I say that's all the neighborhood council system is, and I say it's going to get the city in big trouble. And I really think that there's a lot of racketeering going on in the city. I don't know if there's anything else going on. We'll talk about some downtown development, because whenever I think of racketeering, corruption, and shadiness and going against the community plan, I think of downtown development. I think of the Grand Avenue Project. You got to pull the plug in the Grand Avenue Project. You got the family in Dubai. The Grand Avenue Project.
Thank you very much,
coming
Mr.
next.
Dog. Thank you, Mr. Dog. Oscar Johnson is our next speaker.
My name is Oscar Johnson. I'm Oscar Johnson, community active. I'd like to speak about the misconduct of the Los Angeles Police Department and the abuse of Los Angeles Police Department, how they're using their authorities to exercise and to kill minorities at their will without having any kind of comprehension of their action, no kind of comprehension of their action. And I would like to talk about stopping drugs in the city of Los Angeles, especially on Skid Row. Skid Row is a very unsafe place to be for women and children. Skid Row should be cleaned up. And I also like to end corruption in government, end racketeering in government. The MTA entity of the Metropolitan Transportation is nothing but a racketeering entity and corrupt entity to get money and to misuse the passengers that ride the bus. And we should have better buses on the bus line. And we should stop government waste. The government waste building an 8-mile rail from Exposition to Culver City, whatever, and they're charging the government $240 million. That's what they say, but I don't believe nothing politicians say. And we also like to close down liquor stores in L.A. We need to close all liquor stores down in L.A. that really bring the community down. They're not bringing the community up, and there's a place on Crenshaw and Stocker. It's just a haven for criminals at the liquor store to make disturbance in the community. And I also would like to make a proposal to remove the policemen from their weapons. Else put the policemen on some type of drugs or appetite drugs or alcohol testing, remedy testing. But I know we're not going to do that because there are a lot of people who don't have respect for the people who they have authority over. But we should try to find and learn how to have respect for the people who have authority over and try to care for all people in society. And I keep seeing the patient dumping. People bring people from different parts of the community and just dump them on Skid Row and leave them.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Our last speaker will be Donna Pearman, also out in Van Nuys. Good morning, Ms. Pearman.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Anyway, first, I like to make corrections if what I said turned out to be true. So thank you, Councilman Smith. To the city and Channel 35 viewers, here's the correction. The council doesn't make anywhere near the full retirement with just 12 years, but it does make a retirement. And even though they're eligible for a raise every July, doesn't mean they take it. So kudos to the council members who forgo their raise, like Councilman Smith and other council members who do it without any fanfare, Councilman Smith included. Kids gloves off now. It seems our one-term mayor with a couple of councilmen went to Israel at a good time for a mayor, right when the fiasco is going on with LAUSD, caused by our one-term governor. While I do realize his extra money, when you let LAUSD think they have it, it doesn't mean much to the employees who think LAUSD is a nice, safe job. Find them unemployed, the clerical, temp teachers, administrators who have families and want to put food on their table, along with the paycheck fiasco affecting probably most of LAUSD not getting proper paychecks. It's not a good thank you to the people who take care of our kids and people who take care of our the people who take care of our kids. We don't need unemployed people. We need self-sufficient people. With our trash tax, water and power, our gasoline going up, new tax, the city council comes up. It's very difficult in the spirit. And Bob Marley, when the city council goes on vacation, no council, no cry. I think our city could do without them. No council, no cry. No council, no cry. No council, no cry. In my case, I mean, I wouldn't cry if the city council isn't here. It just means no bad fee waivers, no bad bills passed. Though personally, as a female, I would admit Councilman Garcetti, let him go, let him go. let them go in the wild. That's Garcetti at jury duty. So please thank our city employees, an appreciation for their hard work, and apology for the people who put the city's burdens on their shoulders and not on high-priced administrators, city council, mayor, and city general, and they're in the limelight, our city council and the mayor. So put the pressure on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perriman, as always, for your public comment. We appreciate it. And with that, that'll close our general public comment, and we'll take up the first item called special, please.
Item 9 is the reappointment of Mr. David White to the Central Area Planning Commission.
Okay, if we can ask Mr. White to come forward to the table. Come on up. And I know Mr. Reyes and Mr. Huizar are not here, but I know this went through the Plum Committee, and Mr. Weiss, I do not see him around. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on your interest in serving again, and congratulations on the nomination.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. I love serving on the commission. It's great. It's a terrific way to participate in the civic process, and the decisions that we make feel very real. I will be happier with this next 5-year stint to learn how to better apply a unifying principle to the principles coming out of the citywide commission, along with the other area planning commissions, the way that we all apply the rules. I think we can have better development throughout the city if we're all working on the same page, so I think that's a challenge for all the commissions, but I absolutely love the position and love the day every 2 weeks going down there.
Well, we very much appreciate your service, and as somebody whose district overlaps the central APC area, I think you've done a great job, and we hear very good things. So we have one other speaker, Ms. Gruhl. I'd like to add her good wishes as well. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, and I support your reappointment. I really just wanted to ask you a question as we have these planning commissioners come up, and now you've served how many years? Three?
One.
Okay.
I'm going into my second year.
You're going to your second, okay. What you have learned, I mean, a lot of the very important decisions are made in the Planning Commission, and issues that I find in my district in the Valley, you know, that go to the area planning commissions, and a lot of them start to come, maybe there's a pattern or things that we can in the city. Have you seen that at all? I mean, if you had to say to those of us in this room that are the policy makers on planning issues, and also as we look at planning department and their budget, and I saw Michael LeGrand, I mean, they'd love to have more staff, but how's that interaction, and anything else you might want to add as far as lessons learned?
A number of lessons learned. Certainly as we think about the flow of increased population coming into the city, and I'm sure this applies as well to the Valley, and we're trying to increase the density. I think there are some battle lines being drawn between density versus the more traditional way that we view lifestyle and living in Los Angeles. I know that some of that's been articulated publicly, but I do think that we're going to continue with that. But at least in central Los Angeles, there is a consistent challenge with terrific development projects and the parking and traffic. And although we try to increase development along rail lines and along public transportation lines, the real trick is going to be increasing the public transportation lines. It's really the only way that we're going to be able to manage the increased population over the next several years. And I haven't actually done real homework on how that flow is coming into the Valley, because I do know that it's coming into the city, but it wouldn't surprise me if you're facing similar issues.
Thank you, and that's music to my ears as far as a recognition, because I chair the Transportation Committee, which is an issue that, again, when we see people at every level, their questions or their opposition to a project is primarily based on that traffic that it will create, and how do we address that. And so I welcome your ideas and concept as we go forward, and maybe I'll call you separately and sit down with you and see some of the ideas and how it's impacting different parts of the city. But I think traffic is the number one problem that relates to planning, and how we created infrastructure between planning and transportation so they're coordinated in how they respond to that. So
that is a magic formula. If we can get transportation and planning to work together, the more we do that, I think that's right.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you, and I appreciate your willingness to serve. This is one of those, I know, very, very, active commissions and responsibilities, so I appreciate you giving your time to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Wesson.
Yes, I just have one thing to say. This young man is fortunate enough to live in the district. We share the same district, so I'm asking for a unanimous vote. Get one more 10th District guy on the team. Thank you for wanting to serve. I'm sure you'll do a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson. All right, with that, let's go ahead and open the roll on the renomination of Mr. White. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're stuck for another few years. Next item, please.
Item 6 called special for a card from the public.
All right, item 6, Zuma Dog.
Family, everything else is cool?
Yes, it's these little things that look like they slip through the crack. They put them through item 6. It gets no attention. But let me just put for the record and everybody watching, relative to amending sections of the Los Angeles Municipal Code to make minor changes to the business tax ordinance. Make minor changes to the business tax ordinance, including increases in certain fees and penalties. Well, doesn't that sound vague? So let's see. No fiscal impact, none submitted. Community impact, none submitted. I'll tell you the community impact. The community impact's going to be more fees and taxes levied against business in a sinking economy when you're putting liens on all types of things for graffiti removal, asbestos removal, maintenance, improvements, all kinds of things. You're thinking of all kinds of things to tax on people. And now you got one more thing. It's going to be, I guarantee you that this minor change will not be a reduction. No, it does say increase. So we'll be talking more about that later because I only want to put a minute on this. ZumaTimes.com.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Close our public hearing on item 6. If you can please prepare the roll on that item and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 7 was called special by Councilmember Labange.
Okay, we have one card before Mr. Labange speaks. Arthur Hansen, if you'd like to come forward. And then we'll recognize Mr. Labange for this item. After Mr. Hansen. Go ahead, please, sir.
Yes, apparently under Article 1, Section 7B, everybody in the state is supposed to be similarly treated. Why in the city of Los Angeles are we going to have higher traffic citation fees? That's apparently illegal, violating the California Constitution. It's also a tax increase. That's what it's for, the revenue to raise taxes, which violates Proposition 13, which you gentlemen and ladies have failed to worry too much about it. However, under People versus Clark, someone who steals on the behalf of the city of Los Angeles, being councilman or being an employee, that's a crime. It's a misdemeanor. And under Penal Code Section 182, conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor is a felony. And I guess if you should make a vote on this thing, yes, I would assume that you're electing to be felons. And maybe we'll have somebody prosecute you. Who knows? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Labange?
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi, how you doing?
Han as well. Is there anyone here from the department to talk about this? Anybody here? Is there anyone here from the Department of Transportation? Oh, thank you. How are you? Okay. How many citizen calls you take a year? You get straight out there citizens, and they're upset about something.
Robert Andelon, Department of Transportation. I don't have that specific number of calls to the call center for services.
Right.
Is that what we're looking for? Or is that,
Yeah, just like
that.
that. Here's a situation. People get frustrated sometimes on issue, and I thought of an idea. Someone in my district was a victim of crime. Their car was stolen, and then they had to pay the impound fee to get it out.
That's right. The contract with the police commission and the official police garages does have that particular fee as a cost of doing business.
Right. So, members, I want you to listen to me. The frustration, which is tough. Let's say if one of your constituents lost their car, let's raise $1 on these tickets to go to a fund so people could get reimbursed if their car was stolen, impounded. You understand? What do you think about that?
Well, obviously, it would have an impact on the general fund.
No, but we don't. We put $1 on every ticket. Here's $45. We go to $46. You know, you go by a gas station, they change it by the minute.
Well, that would be a policy decision, but right now the ordinance is in place, and if
Well, I
we
got
were-
that. We're the policy, right? We
Yes.
set the policy. I'm just asking members, I got to ask for a motion from, and I know Ms. Hahn, I know you're interested in this as well, that we ask your department to report back. When can we raise this again?
When could we raise it again?
Right.
We would have to look at a survey of the surrounding cities and municipalities to see if the fines were consistent with what we have as the
Okay, you
fine
look at the
schedule.
surveys now, what we're voting on today.
That's-
Are we
that's true.
okay?
We are probably about $5 ahead of most cities nearby. We would be first or second in most of the parking violations.
What are we raising it from?
Depending on the fine, we're probably going up to about $50 for the most part. The vast majority of fines would be
Right,
in
the
the $50
45,
range.
parking near an emergency vehicle, $45. What is it today?
It's $40.
$40.
They're all being raised by $5 across
So,
the
hey,
board.
members, let me ask you this. Instead of raising it, why don't we just say, we'll raise it to 45, but we earmark $1 for a fund that would go to help people who are victims of crime, whose car were stolen, that they get reimbursed if they get impounded. That's what I meant. What do you think about that?
Well, again, I think the budget is predicated on a certain amount coming to the general fund. I think this would
The
be
budget for what?
the general fund budget is predicated on a certain revenue stream from the issuance and collection of parking citations.
I got that, but what would
Well,
it be?
if you, assuming we would, it would be $1 assessed to every fine collected.
No.
or
Instead
every-
of you're at 40 now, you're going to get $4 extra, but the fifth is going to go to a fund that we earmark for victims of crime whose cars were stolen, so they don't have to pay the impound fee. How frustrated is you come home, your car's stolen, you call the police, they find it 5 days later, you go down to the local OPG, and you have a $144, or what is the impound fee?
It's $184.
$184 impound fee plus the 5 days.
Any storage you have after that.
Right.
That's true.
Do you think that would be a good thing for the city to do?
Well, again, it's a policy question, and it would. I'm sure the victims of stolen vehicles would feel somewhat a little bit more satisfied that, in fact, the city has a more caring attitude towards that particular crime.
Right. We would be the city of angels.
Well, yes, we would be.
Right. Not the city of something else. So, say it again. Well, here's what I'll do. Here's what I will do. When's the next time we can come back on this? Here. What do we use? How often do we come to us? Every multiple years?
We can come back annually and report to you where we stand as far as the survey is concerned, and if it's appropriate and the discussion has occurred.
See, you're doing a survey. You did a survey, and I know I'm taking a little time, Mr. President. You did a survey, and you're going to $5.
That's correct.
Why are you going to 5? Why didn't you go to 4? Why didn't you go to 3?
When we looked at the survey, we felt $5 was an appropriate increment as far as an increase. It kept us within being number 1 or number 2 with most of the other surrounding cities. Additionally, this was something that we had done before in 2002 and 2006, excuse me, and we were able to continue the issuance level at a certain point. So we felt comfortable that a $5 increase was the correct amount.
Yeah, now, what if you went to 56, just out of question?
If you went up another dollar,
right.
Well, there would be some impact, but it probably wouldn't be major. Because, again, there's kind of a delicate balance between the fine schedule and the violation rate. If, in fact, the fines get to a point that they're much higher, there may be an inclination by the public to actually park off-street and or park more correctly and avoid violations.
But and that's what we want, right? We want people
Ultimately,
to avoid
that's what we want. That's
We
true.
do want people to avoid violations. Members, I got to put a motion in to ask that you report. Are you taking any vacation this summer?
Not now.
Not now? All right, good. Okay, good. In 30 days, report back for the department to come up with a concept that would add $1 to our tickets.
So is this an additional assessment to the existing fine schedule of $5?
No, I'm going to say that it's important, that all the work that you did today is important. So this goes forward. But in
Thank
30 days, I want you to report back that you would establish a stolen vehicle recovery fund to reimburse legitimate victims of such crimes, working with the city clerk's office or whomever it would be. You define that and report back to us with a $1 increase in the fines. That way, that could be a fund. So. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more card on this now in the Valley. Mr. Nightingale on number 7.
Yes, I deeply appreciate you taking me. I put the card in a little late. But if I'm not mistaken, when your car gets stolen, something your insurance reimburses you. So obviously these people that are coming to you that turn around and says, oh, my car was stolen and now I got to pay to get the impound lot. Well, if you had insurance, it wouldn't happen because your insurance company picks up all the tab that when your car gets stolen. So I don't understand what this extra $1 is for, considering the fine right now is $40, and then you're going to $5 more, and then you want another $1? That's a little outrageous, I think. So I believe if you had insurance, you wouldn't have this problem. I deeply appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nightingale. And Mr. Alarcon is our next speaker, and then Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Alarcon? Mr. Alarcon?
Mr. Alcorn? Mr. Alcorn?
No, I second the motion.
Just a second? Okay.
I second the motion.
Great.
I second the motion to get a report back from the city attorney and general services as to a potential fee addition that would cover the cost of those people who, for no fault of their own, get their cars stolen and have to pay all these enormous fees. Good.
Thank you. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure that we all understood this was part of the budget that was adopted by the city. It's an implementing ordinance for what we increased, and that each year, as part of the CAO, is looking at fee recovery and so forth, so that we're getting full cost recovery on some of the items as well. And as that goes forward, that was my only. Just wanted to make sure everyone understood the clarifying nature of this. This was part of what we adopted in the budget, and is just the follow-up items, which we hope and pleased to see this here today, because otherwise, if it took us months, we would not see the increase, and our budget, of course, is dependent upon that. So, is this keep us in time?
Yes, it does. It keeps us in time, and we will report back as directed by council.
And so it'll be July 1st. This will take effect, or
I believe it's 30 days after it's published. That's the final ordinance.
and so are we. I'm looking at the CLA over there. We're on schedule, correct? Okay. All right. So we would ask that we approve this today and ask that it go forthwith.
Okay. As amended, with a report back, let's go ahead then and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay.
Minor amendment?
Yes, we
Mine
attach
is
that.
an amendment,
Yep.
so we'll circulate.
Accepted as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, please.
Item 10, called special by Councilmember Hahn.
You want to take 10 and 11 together? Or are they related or separate ones? Okay. Well, item number 10 is first. We will take cards from the public. Again, we have 2 minutes per speaker and a clock to help people time or manage their time up there. Our first speaker is Hector Ramos. After that will be Adriano Martinez. I'd like to come forward to the podium, Hector Ramos. And I think we need translation or... Por favor.
Gracias.
Okay. We have a translator too, but you want to do it? Either way. Okay. Hold on 1 second. We'll have the interpreter come on over. Do you mind coming over?
Buenos días. Buenos días, señores concejales. Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Héctor Ramos.
Good morning, esteemed council people, and to everyone here in the audience. My name is Hector Ramos.
Tengo 8 años trabajando en el puerto de Long Beach, Los Ángeles.
I have been working for years at the Long Beach and Los Angeles ports.
Manejando un camión viejo,
I've been driving an old truck
sucio, que ha contaminado todo lo que es la parte de Los Ángeles,
I've been driving a dirty old truck that's contaminated the whole Los Angeles region,
dañando las familias a los niños, causando enfermedades.
It's hurt the families, the children, and it's resulted in illnesses.
Por lo tanto, estoy agradecido por el gran proyecto verde que se realiza y hoy será un día memorable para nosotros y para ustedes.
Therefore, I'm very grateful for the great project for the environment, the green project that will take place today, and that hopefully you will approve it. And therefore, this is a great historical day for all of us.
Por lo tanto, los drivers de Los Ángeles estamos listos para aceptar el cambio en beneficio de toda la comunidad.
The truck drivers in Los Angeles, all of us are ready to accept this change because it's going to benefit essentially all of the community.
Y para nosotros los drivers.
And it's also going to benefit us, the truck drivers.
Gracias por el cambio.
This is all, and thank you very much for the change.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Adriano Martinez is our next speaker. After that will be Dagoberto Larios. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Adrian Martinez, and I'm here on behalf of the Natural Resources Defense Council. I'm here to support the proposal that has been sent from the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee to approve the Clean Trucks program. I think it's very important to note that the Port of Los Angeles staff worked very hard over a very long period of time in developing this Clean Trucks program. In what started as in the beginning, there wasn't much information on this industry and how to fix the problems. However, the port staff and others came together and they found a solution. This is a solution that NRDC supports along with several other environmental groups, environmental justice groups, labor groups, and faith-based organizations that formed the Coalition for Clean and Safe Ports. In the end, I think this is a very important day, and I just encourage the City Council to approve this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dagoberto Larios is our next speaker. After that will be Tom Politeo.
Buenos días, señoras concejales. Mi nombre es Dagoberto Larios. Cuento con 22 años como chofer en los puertos de Los Ángeles y Long Beach.
Good morning, esteemed council people. My name is Dagoberto Darius, and I've been working for the Long Beach Port
En Los Ángeles.
and Los Angeles Port for over 22 years.
Y hoy vengo a presentarme ante ustedes para especialmente agradecer al señor alcalde Villarraigosa
And today I'm appearing before you to especially give my thanks to the mayor of Los Angeles, Mr. Villarraigosa,
y a la señora concejal Janice Hahn
and also to thank Ms. Councilwoman Janice Hahn
por el liderazgo que han mostrado, porque al fin, después de 28 años de injusticias, el sueño americano se hace realidad para nosotros.
I want to thank both of them for their great leadership, because finally, after 28 years, the great injustice is finally being resolved, and the American dream will finally be achieved by all of us.
Y para dejarles saber que estamos listos para trabajar como empleados y con el plan de Los Ángeles para limpiar el aire de la ciudad.
And to let you know that we're prepared to work as employees and also to work alongside with the City of Los Angeles representatives so that together we can clean the environment in our city.
Y con camiones limpios, buenos trabajos y bienestar para todos.
And we will accomplish this with clean trucks, benefits for all of us, and also with good jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tom Politeo. After that is Patricia Castellanos.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. My name is Tom Politeo. I live in San Pedro, California. I'd like to begin by thanking Councilwoman Janice Hahn, Mayor Antonio Villarraigosa, the Board of Harbor Commissioners for their unwavering support on this particular program. I'd also like to thank staff for all the hard work, and there's been a lot of it, that they put into this program. What we're talking about here is the Clean Trucks program, and I would say that since about 2000, this concept of using a concession model, having drivers be employees, and having the trucking companies own the trucks, has been the gold standard for dealing with the environment in San Pedro. Part of this concept was first suggested by Noel Park and then later on by me. The problem right now is that the truckers do not have any opportunity to control the system that they are basically victimized by. They are treated as employees, they have no management authority, yet they suffer the consequences of poor management decisions. And this program will address that issue by reclassifying them as employees. It will also, as a result, save the problem of the picture that you see in this picture, which is two lines of trucks, nearly about about half a mile long, lined up in the Port of Los Angeles, waiting to get in or out of a terminal. Okay, it's about 100 trucks.
We try to make sure
that's not a sign. That's part of my exhibit.
Sir, we have a policy to make sure that nobody's views are blocked. That's the only reason. So you can put it to the side if you'd like. We can bring it over here to the side. But it's just to make sure no one's views are blocked and we keep that consistent. Okay? Go ahead. Continue, please.
All right. If you would pass it around the City Council. I also handed in 2 copies of the Southern Sierra, and one from 2002, which shows that we started working on this issue in the Sierra Club a long time ago. I'm speaking on their behalf. Again, from 2008, that this is an important issue from us, and a local paper, the Random Lengths, these should become part of your record. I will need that picture back when you're done, but you're welcome to hand it around, and I'll take a look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Patricia Castellanos is next, and after Ms. Castellanos will be Charles Princeton.
Good morning, President Garcetti, council members. My name is Patricia Castellanos. I'm here representing the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy and also the Coalition for Clean and Safe Ports. We're a coalition of over 30 organizations representing groups of environmental organizations, community, labor, immigrant rights organizations, clergy, and the list goes on. And we're here to show our support for agenda item number 10. We want to particularly commend the Commission, the Harbor Commission, President Freeman, and the port staff for all the hard work they put into developing this Clean Trucks program that will once and for all do away with the port trucking system that has been broken for over 2 decades. I also want to just quickly recognize the leadership of Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa in providing a true vision for green growth at the Port of Los Angeles, starting with the Clean Trucks program. And then finally, want to thank Councilwoman Hahn for whose commitment and leadership on the environment, community issues, and workers' rights have been indispensable, not just in the harbor area, but throughout Los Angeles, and we want to thank her. And we urge you today to approve this item. We do believe that with today we will be setting the path for green growth, not just here in LA, but across the country, and other ports and cities will have to follow suit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castellanos. Charles Princeton is our next speaker. After Mr. Princeton will be Miguel Marroquin.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I'm 73 years old, and everything that has been said before me, I'm in total agreement. I cannot express it any better. But I have worked the harbors all of my life, over 60 years. And this is the best program that I see after so many years of working and seeing my fellow workers die and living in a town that's full of bronchitis and asthma and cancer and problems, that this is the best plan that has ever been put before this council, this city. And I want to thank everybody that's involved in this to finally bring a conclusion to the sicknesses that we have in the harbor areas, and a decent wage and a decent way for our truck drivers to make a living. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Miguel Marroquin. And after Mr. Marroquin will be Tamara Watkins.
Good morning. I'm here from Banning High School. As a member of the graduating class of 2008, I represent those who will graduate tomorrow and those who still have more years ahead of them. We thank you greatly. The decision which will be enacted today, the Clean Trucks program with employee rights, will leave a lasting impression on our community, one of unity and one of progress. The community of Wilmington thanks City Hall, and we thank Janice Hand. Finally, we can begin to breathe clean air again. Thank you.
Thank you. Tamara Watkins. After Ms. Watkins will be Zuma Dog.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tamara Watkins, and I'm with the American Lung Association. I want to first start off by thanking the Mayor of Villaraigosa for making the Clean Trucks Plan part of his priority for policymaking in Los Angeles and for the ports. Also, I would also like to thank Councilwoman Janice Hahn for standing with the drivers and the community and trying to clean up the air pollution and the port problem that we have in Southern California. The port pollution kills nearly 3,000 people a year in Southern California, and it's time for the city to really take a leadership role and look at the devastating effects that the port pollution has on the communities. The American Lung Association takes a strong position behind the Clean Trucks program, cleaning up the ports to protect public health, our environment, and to slow the process of global warming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zuma Dog is our last speaker.
Yes, thank you so much. My name's Zuma Dog, and as somebody who would like to be mayor of this city, you have to pay the most attention to the ports of L.A. I say it's more important to this economy than Hollywood show business, and it's more important to the city and the entire country because 40% of U.S. goods come through the ports of L.A., and the problem is that the city and region is burdened with a lot of the traffic and pollution as these goods are shipped down the freeways to the Walmarts of America. And I'm here to say we need some serious mitigation. And I also say we need federal help because, again, the city of Los Angeles and region is bearing the burden for the entire United States of America to keep the products flowing down the highways so you can get your iPods at Walmart for the cheapest price. So, again, I'd like to say hopefully this will achieve the goal. And if there's any way we need to take in more money for this, talk to the federal government. I hope you can do that. They're the ones that impose a lot of these things that we get stuck with. And I hopefully will have more to do with this. ZumaTimes.com.
The dog lives in the port. With that, we'll close our public comment, and we'll hear first from Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is indeed a very historic day in Los Angeles, and we have today the Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles, Dr. Geraldine Natz, who is here, and I want to acknowledge her and the Harbor Commission for showing the leadership on this program. And she's here if we have questions or if she would like to give us a synopsis of what this program actually does. But I just can't contain myself and I just want to speak now and say how excited I am. And I will tell you, I'm not sure I ever really believed this day would come. What we are doing today is we are approving the final adoption of the Port's Clean Trucks program. It's already been approved by the Harbor Commission, but we on the City Council get to take this vote on this very historic program. And what this plan does is two things. One, it will require that all the trucks coming into the ports are clean trucks. And it will require that all the trucks coming into the Port of Los Angeles will be driven by an employee driver. And that is also what is equally important as cleaning the air, is that we are actually cleaning up the truck driving industry, and we're going to begin to pay decent wages to the drivers who, in my opinion, are the backbone of the goods movement industry. And as was said, this is the industry that has over 40% of the trade that comes into this country comes through the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. This is the industry that provides billions of dollars into our economy on a daily basis. This is the industry that impacts every single congressional district in this great country because of jobs and taxes and goods. But these are the drivers that have most been left behind in this billion-dollar goods movement industry. As was said, the San Pedro ports are the single largest contributor of diesel emission and greenhouse gases in Southern California. Recently, the California Air Resources Board estimated that particulate matter air pollution in South Coast area causes approximately 5,400 premature deaths, 980,000 lost work days, 2,400 hospitalizations, 140,000 asthma and lower respiratory cases are directly attributed to port pollution. So you can imagine if it's a region problem and the air pollution comes all the way into this space, and you can imagine what the drivers have been experiencing all these years in terms of health risks to their own selves and to their families. But it is interesting what we're doing today, because I think for too long, we in the harbor area, we knew these risks. We knew people that were dying of cancer. We knew people who grew up in the harbor area who had terrible instances of asthma. But it's so significant today that everyone finally now realizes this and realizes that we have to do something about it. And we're not just cleaning up the air, although that's important. We are also giving a great opportunity to create good jobs for people all over Los Angeles so that more people can benefit from this booming international trade industry. Truck driving will become one of those great jobs that we can begin training people for all over this region. And it will also be something that is paid decent wages and is given the respect that they deserve. I really want to recognize the hard work of everyone who worked to bring forward this solution that makes everyone, the cities, the trucking companies, the drivers, the shipping industry, accountable for improving what has been a terribly broken system. And I want to point out that the City of Long Beach, unfortunately, has not joined us in this effort of cleaning up the trucks, as well as giving the drivers the dignity and respect that they deserve. And they say they're supportive of clean air, but we know that we think this model works better because you're paying people a wage that will allow them to maintain their trucks and keep these trucks clean in 20 years from now. If we don't pay the drivers what they deserve, then we're going to be back in the same situation we are today with old trucks that have not been maintained properly. So I also want to say that the Federal Maritime Commission on Friday refused the trucking industry's request to shut down the port's Clean Truck program and authorized the ports to cooperate with the terminal operators to ensure that we're able to begin implementing this program in October. That was a significant move by the Federal Maritime Commission. So, colleagues, what we're doing today is important. It's long overdue. It cleans the air. It gives respect and dignity to the hard-working drivers who keep this international trade industry moving. It's supported by 31 of our California congressional members, as well as Speaker Nancy Pelosi. This is a model for the country, and I'm very proud of us for taking this bold move. I'm very proud of Dr. Natz and the Harbor Commission for really going out on a limb to do something which is the right thing to do and supports people all over. I am very proud of us on the City Council. I know we're going to support this unanimously, and I look forward to us taking that vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Rosendahl.
I certainly can't light a candle to what Janice Hahn has just said. I've had the pleasure of being on the committee the last 2 years and watched the dynamic unfold over the last 2 years of making this day happen. This is a very significant day for the city of Los Angeles. It takes the climate change and it takes the health aspect of the pollution from BS and just talk to reality. This is a very, very significant move. We learned in the last 15 years that diesel emissions have particulate matter. Particulate matter causes cancer. We know that. We know that as the air pollutes, those on the east side of the region, the kids have less lung capacity because of the pollution. The port brings in a lot of pollution. The legacy of your brother as mayor, it was going to China and coming back with clean iron, which is plugging into electricity rather than sitting in the port with that diesel just pumping out of those ships right into the face of San Pedro and Wilmington and Long Beach. That was a first major step by a mayor who saw the future and moved on it. his sister, ironically. There she is, in charge of the harbor area for the city council here. And to see the cooperation between Lane, between the drivers, the truck drivers, the real guys and women who are driving those trucks, see it with the business community, see it with all of the aspects, get together and finally say, we've had enough. It's time to change. We got to change if we want to last as a nation and a planet in the world. It's ridiculous to have this global warming with the pollution in the air. And just for the record, so people understand watching this, that, Lane was a big deal, the San Pedro Democratic Club, as well as the workers who've been fighting hard, not only for their dignity, but for all of us. And they do an incredible job in taking that goods to the entire nation. This program will add a fee to each unit of container cargo that is shipped into the port. The revenue will go into a fund that will help replace and retrofit old, dirty diesel trucks with new, cleaner vehicles. This program is also funded in part by AQMD, and Ms. Perry sits on that, and so she's played a leadership role on that. This program will have very significant positive impact on air quality in the port area. I just want to say this is a great historic moment for the city. Ms. Hahn, thank you for your incredible leadership, staying fast and firm on it so that we could arrive at this day today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Labange?
What is great about a process, it takes time, but the right thing happens. And Ms. Hahn, I want to thank you for the process. We all represent parts of the city, and I have, believe it or not, for 30 years, hiked in Griffith Park every morning, and I see the sun rise. And out straight down Normandy and to the east of that is the Port of Los Angeles, and you can often see, unfortunately, a layer that sits there over the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. I'm proud of the Port of Los Angeles and what it has done to help build this region, this city, this country, but we have to change our ways. And that photograph was a great photograph that depicts it real clearly, the challenge that we have there. Your leadership, Ms. Hahn, is what I think helps move this along. And Dr. Nance, your leadership coming across on the eastbound direction from the east to the west. It was a great move because you came from Long Beach and you were able to assemble this with the support of the mayor. It all makes sense. And I know I asked some tough questions, which I got great answers for in committee, which was important. But I'm proud of this because it will be a day when there won't be that film that sits over the sky of San Pedro, of Long Beach, because of a clean truck program, which is important to all of us in Southern California, and as remarked by earlier speakers, the world, as we change our ways. Congratulations, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you, Ms. Hahn, for your leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Garcetti.
And I want to say, Eric, thank you to the men who move America's goods. Gracias.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and thank you, Ms. Hahn. This has been an incredible organizing project, and I know that from the drivers, the residents, the environmental community, in past years, people would have divided these different parts of the community, but instead you came together. And the strength that you have is not only are you the workers that do the work, the residents who have to breathe the air. Many times we even have businesses that are involved, contrary to what we would hear in the press, but also the environmentalists coming together. And it wouldn't have happened were it not for your leadership and your leadership as well, Ms. Hahn. Being down at San Pedro just last week, you can sense the change that is happening there, that's happened under your watch. And also, you can get a sense, too, that people are willing to say that we as working people can be great environmentalists as well, that environmentalism isn't just something for the rich, it isn't just something for people who live in one part of the city, but it's really for everyone. When we look at the particulate matter that comes from the port today, it's still one of the proudest moments I had as a council member going with Ms. Hahn to China to ink the first agreement on cold ironing, on plugging in our ships electrically, but also when they're just out close to sea, to be able to take this sulfur out of the air, to be able to take the noxious fumes out of the air is so important for us. And Geraldine, the leadership you've brought, you know this port, you know our neighboring port, and it will really require both of us together. I know it won't be easy in the next couple years because you have two ports who have taken somewhat different routes, but even if we took the same, we probably would have wound up in the courts. But I believe that we can prevail in the courts, I believe we can win there, and that we can show that the right thing for the community is the right thing for our truck drivers as well. This is America's port, as Ms. Hahn says, and she says it so articulately. But today is one of those days that we will make history and move forward. And when we see this through in the courts and we see this through in further legislation, there will be generation after generation of young people who will thank us for making our lives healthier and for you being able to support your families. So God bless you all, and thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Ms. Hahn, to close.
Thank you. I just wanted to give Dr. Nats a moment to maybe just give a brief overview of what this program is, just for those people who might be watching Channel 35, and then I'll say a couple closing remarks.
Okay, thank
So
you.
if you can hold my time.
Councilwoman. What is really before you is the approval of our Clean Trucks program. You have previously approved our truck ban and our clean truck fee. This is an amendment to our tariff that will require that licensed motor carriers have a concession to enter the port. And with that concession comes requirements for security, maintenance, requirement to have employees, off-street parking, insurance, and some others. We will start collection of our clean truck fee in October, as mandated by this tariff. This tariff also establishes an incentive program. Although this is a 5-year program, we do believe that our incentive program will basically cause a lot of private businesses to flip their trucks in the first 2 years of the program. And this item also does some cleanup on the tariffs that you previously approved to harmonize the language, and it's also kind of tied to the language in the next item on your agenda as well. So with that, I also want to thank the Councilwoman for her support and all of the council members, and this is a great day to be here.
Thank you. And colleagues, again, this is a great day. And you know how certain things just politically, personally, and every other way really come together for us? This is one of those items. Forever, I have been talking about two things: dirty trucks, dirty air, and the plight of the independent truck driver. I'll never forget the very first hearing I went to, probably 6 or 7 years ago. It was a state Senate hearing about the plight of the independent truck driver. And then I began to realize that these people who we depend on to move America's goods were not making the kind of wages that they could even live on, let alone keep up with the fuel cost and insurance and the maintenance of their trucks. I knew that we had a perfect storm brewing, that in fact if these drivers decided not to take these jobs at the port, we could have a complete crippling of the goods movement industry in America. So I wanted to tackle these two big issues: dirty air, dirty trucks, and the independent truck driver. Today we are doing just that. And with your I vote on this, colleagues, I believe that we will be achieving the goals of improving public health, reducing congestion, improving the efficiency of port trucking by paying our drivers a decent wage and good benefits so that we can create a stable workforce. And one of the things that we haven't mentioned is this will make our ports more secure, because we will have much more accountability in terms of who is driving these trucks and who is really moving these goods. So I am very excited to take this vote today. I think it's one of the most important votes we've done. It is so the right thing to do. And again, thank you, Geraldine Nats, for your leadership and your persistence on making sure that this was a workable plan for all of us in Los Angeles and the region. So I urge your I vote on this historic day.
Mr. Reyes.
I just want to rise and thank Councilmember Hahn for her stewardship, everyone involved.
many of our districts, you find these big trucks sitting on the side of the road on our major arterials, and the independent trucks. And these are hardworking individuals who are trying to maintain a level of sustenance for their families. And to be able to put together a program like this is not punitive, yet has all these multiple benefits that speak to the welfare of our families, the truck drivers, the hardworking individuals, but also for our environment, as Councilman Garcetti has mentioned. This is a multiple benefit that we should all support. It's about time. So kudos to you, Councilman Burhan, and to everyone involved, bringing such a great event come to reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. And with that, let's go ahead. We have the item before us. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved, and that goes through on the fourth reading. We'll send that forthwith without objection.
Forthwith.
Congratulations, everybody, and thank you. Before we take up 11, if we can reconsider the ordinances, we do have 12 members present. That would be 1 through.
Actually, Mr. President, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 19.
Okay. Please open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is reconsidered, and if we can now open the roll on those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And if we can send 19 forthwith, those are approved on first readings. Item 11, Ms. Han, is our next one.
This is another item in relationship to our goods movement industry. And, with trade being the number one industry in this region, it's important for us to recognize that we need to invest in our transportation infrastructure. And in November 2006, the voters of this state approved Proposition 1B, a nearly $20 billion bond to pay for improvements to our streets, bridges, highways. And about $4 billion of that was put aside specifically to fund goods movement projects. But that's just a down payment. We need to make a more serious investment if we're going to see improvements in traffic congestion and air emissions from cargo, which, according to projections, our cargo is expected to triple over the next 20 years. And now, anybody that drives anywhere around Long Beach or San Pedro, Wilmington, and the port area, that infrastructure is kind of on its last leg. And we know that it will not be able to accommodate that kind of growth unless we do something serious to invest in the infrastructure. We're taking a step in the right direction by, again, some real leadership on the part of Geraldine Knatz and the Harbor Commission by instituting a fee on every container. And starting next year, it will be about $30 a container. And that money will go directly to investing in our bridges and highways in and around the port. This money has helped us already leverage about $700 million for infrastructure projects at the ports and $98 million from air quality funds under Prop 1B. And the other thing I really want to see us doing, every time we invest in infrastructure, we need to also at the same time invest in air quality mitigation. And that should just be a policy and a value that we move forward with. We expect to see this investment leverage even more money from the federal government as we approach the reauthorization of the federal transportation bill in this coming month. So again, another innovative effort on the part of the Port of Los Angeles to figure out how to take money and leverage it to improve the infrastructure, which ultimately will impact and improve the goods movement industry. Those containers that come in the port, last year, some 14 million, both in Long Beach and Los Angeles, came in and out of our port complex. Those containers certainly represent commerce for this country, but they've also represented a risk to people's health, and they frankly have posed a risk to our infrastructure because we're bearing the majority of the brunt, both in health and infrastructure, so that the rest of the country can have these goods on time and when they want it. So this is a great opportunity to take some of the money that those containers represent and pour it back into air quality mitigation and infrastructure investment. This is a good thing that we're also doing, and I urge your aye vote.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. If no one else wishes to be heard, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved as well on the first reading, forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Next item, please.
Item 20, called special for cards.
Okay. We've got 2 cards for item number 20. I'd like to have Russell Brown come forward first.
Good morning. My name is Russell Brown. I'm Executive Director of the Historic Downtown LA Bid. Our renewal is in front of you, and I want to thank you for your support. We're a community organization sponsored by the business and the city, where the property owners themselves assess themselves for $1.2 million a year in extra taxes, and these are for community improvements, which include hiring the homeless for trash pickup, enhanced security, graffiti abatement, economic development, urban planning. We're especially proud of the fact that we are a leader with the community on the Art Walk and on transportation issues, including sponsoring a downtown streetcar conference and the regional connector issues. So we look forward to our renewal for the next 5 years. We reached 50% approval in 10 days and 60% approval in 2 weeks, and we look forward to the continued partnership with the business owners and the residents. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Russell, and thank you for your leadership. Juma Dog is our next speaker.
Yes, I'm concerned about this. First of all, it's Councilmember Perry and Councilmember Weezar together on a business development project, and right off the bat, that's very concerning. I get a lot of concerns. There was somebody here in the yesterday, last meeting, a 20-year-old who's like, "What are you here for today?" He said, "Corruption." I go, "What specifically?" He said, "Jam Perry." And then with Jose Weezar, nobody keeps my cell phone ringing with constituent outrage. So what we have here is a business improvement district. 50% of the money is to be paid, over 50% to be paid for property owners. Well, I like to say, in this downturn economy, what if there's not money available for those business owners to pay for these improvements? Then the city gets stuck, I would assume. Also, it says that this is going to be run through a nonprofit. You gotta be kidding me. I say the number one problem that's robbing this city and not giving us the services we need, and why we're in this problem, is because federal, state, and local money is handed out to nonprofits to provide services in this city, but then it's patronage, front-end loaded contracts, the money disappears, there's no accountability, there's no transparency, then we don't get the services provided. So I'd be very concerned with all the racketeering and RICO concerns in the community that this city, under this mayor and council people, are under. I say we need to be very concerned about handing money over to a nonprofit for some business district where they're, look at what's happened downtown with the Grand Avenue project, where they couldn't get that thing off the ground. Now we don't have those revenues expected. All these promises. Also, I'm concerned about Councilmember Perry. I hear, you can spend years and years on a plan for a park or for a museum, only to be crushed because they decide we want to put a city building here, and people's lives are crushed. And yes, every time I come downtown, I get a real earful and get very upset about the things I hear about Councilmember Perry. And I say, you don't do this business district because we got our plate full with the Grand Avenue project, the debacle, the CRA, the city, they rolled the dice and they lost on that one. And so there's no room for this stuff, and you can't trust these people. ZumaTimes.com.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll on number 20, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved on the first reading, and we'll send that forthwith without objection. Next item, please.
Item 22, called special for cards.
Okay, Mr. Dog, on item 22, you have 1 minute. Okay, we'll pass on that one. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll on 22 and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 24, called special for cards.
Okay. Item 24, Mr. Dog. Number 24.
Oh, yes, this is special event fee waivers, and I'm here to say that the city First of all, as mayor, the first thing I'm going to do is say, who the heck said that city council members could violate the special event fee and use them for anything they want? Because I was contacted by an attorney who said that there should be a civil lawsuit filed in Superior Court because nobody gave council the authority to circumvent the special event fee waivers. You use them for anything you want. It's supposed to be for community events, public benefit, open to the public, something small like, a brownie, little bake sale for the people to make some money and you can't afford some things. Not supposed to be for Grammy Awards, not supposed to be for Emmy Awards, not supposed to be for
Sir,
anything.
if I could ask you to just lower your voice a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it's about. The city's being robbed blind by corrupt politicians. So I say there's racketeering violations all over the place. I say that we start with special event fee waivers. I'll lower my voice. That's not going to put the money back in the city. This city council's got to go. This racketeering's out of control. I'm going to sue the hell out of you over this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dog. We'll next go out to the Valley, and Donna Pearman will be our next speaker.
Okay, thank you. Marion Pogler couldn't be here because she's with her child. The child's off to school. Anyway, I would ask next time, can I have 4 minutes for public comment to accommodate my English language? I think not. Everyone gets 2-minute limit. It's not legitimate. Give more time. Let them say in a minute. Anyway, let's get to fee waivers. Our city is crisis and you waive fees. You ask our city employees, or it's a demand, I should say, you to come up with cutbacks or else, and you waive fees. Let me put it on record. I can't be here tomorrow, so I want to say I'm against fee waivers for tomorrow. So here goes. Today we have Croydon Avenue for July Block Party 2,351. LA Works Day 3,092, 28th Street 4th, 1,642. Councilman Greg Smith's movie, we did this already, and no one answered. This is the movie about stars or Councilman Smith. And Venice Echo Fest, 9,781. That's an awful lot. 4th of July Rubber Ducky Race. Yeah, that's true, Rubber Ducky Race. 1,826. Thank goodness for rubber duckies. And I mentioned Silver Lake Farmers Market, 74,360. Starts to decline. 24,350 is the two biggest fees, along with second annual NoHo 5 CRA 5,222, 8th annual Donata Street Fair 6,068, LA Works Days 5,460. You want to raise parking penalties, though I guess $1 will help us. Poor people will only afford us the lowest insurance. This is not fair. When you keep on raising anything that's not nailed down, we would continue picking up the tab so other people can party. It wouldn't even be right if I partied at these events and I would ask the city not to pick up the tab. I feel about the times, bad about the times, like last Wednesday, and no one was here to oppose the fee waivers. We can't afford it. Our city's in crisis with talk of furloughs, no furloughs, as long as you waive fees. People find other ways to fund these events. Small surcharge. You for $1 want to have fun, spend $1 or $2. Don't have it, don't go. As simple as that. And make the CRA give back our money because our CRA has taken all the money. That's where we should get it back and let them fund these fee waivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fairman. And just on the interpreter, we could do 2 minutes at one time for the person, but as a courtesy to our interpreter, we allow her or him to be able to translate simultaneously. That is the public comment on that item. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved.
Mr. President, sorry.
Yep.
Can we ask for 6 and 7 to go forthwith?
Sure, without objection. 6 and 7 forthwith. We had speaker cards on 27 and 28, but those were Mr. Dog who reached the limit for the day. So if we can take up 27 and 28 now together. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. We are almost done, but we have a special one. And Ms. Perry, would you like to speak to the findings on special one? Pursuant to Rule 23 in the City Council rules, we have the proposed item 1 special before us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Today is the 5th and final council day after the issuance of the report under which Rule 23 applies to this item. This item is not posted for consideration on today's attention, but today's agenda, but I wanted to call it to everyone's attention and assist me and support me in taking jurisdiction over this matter to review the proposed expenditure by the Department of Recreation and Parks.
Thank you. On the findings, anybody else wishing to be heard? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll on the findings. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Pursuant to Rule 23, that item is now before us. Ms. Perry?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Department of Recreation and Parks issued a report to the General Manager on June 4th. The title of the report was Pershing Square, Allocation of Zone Change Park Fees for Palm Court improvements. The item was passed that day by the Recreation and Parks Commission. The report calls for the allocation of $190,000 of funds at the park, specifically in the Palm Court area. The public was not included in this deliberative process. Council office is not included in this decision-making process, and we have had no idea about the expenditure. While Pershing Square Park, the city's second oldest park, is in great need of rehabilitation, I believe it should be a deliberative public process and a holistic approach. There is a $1 billion project that is slated at the northern end of the park, and one of its goals is substantial renovation of the park at their expense. The project's developers have allocated a substantial seven-figure sum for the park in their proposal through the transfer of floor area ratio. This expenditure during very tough economic times may be redundant, and one whose improvements may be undone by the large-scale park renovation proposed by the developers of Park Fifth. So I am asking for you to support me in asserting jurisdiction over this matter so that we can take it back to commission and committee, which it did not go through Arts Parks, to make sure that the public is included and that all viewpoints are considered on this matter.
Okay, thank you very much. Nobody wishes to be heard besides Ms. Perry. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that jurisdiction is asserted, and action will carry. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those items are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused Tuesday, June 24th for city business. The motion is required.
What does that take us down to?
11.
Okay, I'll move that. Ms. Perry seconds without objection. He is excused.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused Friday, July 25th for city business. The motion is required.
And that takes us to?
11.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move that. Ms. Gruhl seconds without objection. That excuse is granted.
Councilmember Weezer requests to be excused Friday, August 11th for personal business. That meets council policy.
Okay, he is excused.
And Councilmember Rosendahl requests to be excused September 2nd, 3rd, and 5th for personal business. That also meets council policy.
Okay, he is excused.
That clears the desk.
All right, any quick announcements, business nature? If not, do we have any if I can ask everybody to rise for our adjourning motions today, please. Colleagues, I ask you join me in two adjourning motions today. One is for Maria Graciela Bernal, who is the mother of Ramon Bernal, who I'm sure Mr. Reyes and Mr. Weezer know as the head of the Glassell Park Rec Center. He works for the Department of Recreation and Parks. His mother passed away from lung cancer due to secondhand smoke. She was not a smoker, but her husband is a chain smoker. She volunteered for many years at the Glassell Park Elementary School, was an active member of the PTA, a member of the Parish Divine Savior Church, and was very involved in a children's organization to stop world hunger. She was a special mother and a special grandmother. She's survived by 5 grandchildren and 5 children. I also ask colleagues that you join me in adjourning today for the father of my senior policy advisor, Sarah Dussault, James Richardson Moore, who died at 77 years old. He passed away on May 9th and was an incredible father and member of his community. He loved church, politics, geography, weather, and bridge. He always carried a deck of cards so he'd be ready to play war with kids and gin with adults. He loved food and was a great cook who enjoyed healthy eating. He earned undergraduate and law degrees at Stanford University and worked his way through school by waiting on tables. First and foremost, James loved his family. Met his wife of 55 years while on vacation in Lake Tahoe, and they were married within months. She told him that she wanted 12 children, and he thought she was kidding. They had 11. He loved his children and grandchildren and offered them much encouragement and little judgment. A few weeks before he died, James welcomed his 29th grandchild into the family when he attended the final adoption hearing for Sarah's son, Cale. Last Monday, June 9th, would have been his 78th birthday. He's deeply missed by family and friends. There's a very touching tribute written by Sarah in Pasadena Weekly this week as well. And I know how important he was to her life and to the life of her entire family. I'll put all members on that. May James rest in peace. Thank you. Ms. Hahn, then Mr. LaBonge.
Thank you. I'd like us to adjourn today in the memory of Victor Franco Sr., who was the father of Victor Franco of Telemundo. He passed away at the age of 83. Many of us know the Franco family personally, like I do. Victor Franco Sr. was born in Mexico in 1925. He and his wife Lydia settled in the Los Angeles area in the early 1950s. He worked at a number of jobs until saving up enough money to live the American dream, opening the Franco Market in the early 1960s. The market was an oasis in a very poor community. The Francos had very strong ties to their community, even offering credit to those families who could not afford essentials such as milk, bread, or diapers. Victor and Lydia had 12 children. When his wife Lydia passed away in the early 1980s, Victor did his best to care for his very large family. He would often travel back and forth between Mexico and the United States to visit with the family during the holiday season and special occasions. It was on a recent visit that the doctors unfortunately discovered Victor had cancer. Victor spent the remaining months at his daughter's home in Bellflower, where he passed away peacefully. Victor is survived by 11 children, including Victor Franco Jr. of El Sereno and Patricia Franco of Sylmar, 20 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. A rosary service will be held this Sunday evening at Baggs & Sons Mortuary in Boyle Heights, with burial services on Monday at Rose Hills in Whittier. My sincerest thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Franco family.
Thank you. We'll do all members on that as well. Anybody else want to comment, or just a tad? Mr. LaBonge.
Members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Tim Russert, the great national NBC Meet the Press correspondent who truly was a shock to everybody in the country, I believe. Every day is an absolute blessing. 58 years old, survived by his wife, Maureen, and their son Luke, who they just returned from a visit to Rome. He was a tremendous individual. I know as a local politician, I felt very, very, very connected to the country at 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings when I'd watch Meet the Press. And recently, as we had our League of Cities meeting in Washington, I took a cab out with Avak to go out to WNBC in Washington, I believe it is, where Tim's office was. Tim wasn't there, but I presented him on behalf of all of us, a nice 60th anniversary resolution, and his associate producer there accepted it on behalf of Tim and expressed Tim's, and I really felt it, because, we all do these things, Tim's appreciation for coming to his office and presenting a resolution for the city of Los Angeles honoring Meet the Press. I don't think there's anybody on television who was as dynamic. He remembered his roots from Buffalo. His father, Big Russ, who he wrote 2 books about, was a trash collector. Remember his roots as an individual, and always was prepared when he ran the show Meet the Press for over 15 years. Tim Russert, a great American, will be sorely missed.
Mr. Rosendahl on that same one?
On this, having done 16 years of television and knowing that as the facilitator of the discussion, the show isn't about you, it's about the subject matter or the people you're interviewing. And what he did, and I got calls from all over the country, frankly, about this passing, because he didn't make the show about himself. He made the show about the issues and the people he interviewed, and he did it with class and dignity. None of this personal attack crap that so many of these fakes on TV do all the time. He is a treasure that will be really missed, and I hope that these stations learn from him as a role model and put those kinds of people on the air to follow in his footsteps. Not just Meet the Press, but all of these various shows in this town and throughout the nation. He was a role model for a lot of folks who do good journalism. And he was a good journalist, and his work did, frankly, enhance and help people understand the democracy and how to participate in the discourse. And he died right on the job, which all of us, I'm sure, appreciate the fact that all we have is the moment, And that very moment, there he was back in the studio preparing for that Sunday's Meet the Press, and obviously may he rest in peace.
A political staffer to Mario Cuomo, to Monahan, he came from that side, and there was some sense of mistrust on there. And in one of the tremendous shows, and I just say this here, he was a vice president of news for NBC before he really went on the screen. He was in a truck, and they were discussing with the director how they were going to do this show. And the director turned over and said to Tim, "How many directors are in this truck?" Meaning this guy was the director. And Tim said, "How many vice presidents are in this truck?" And the guy did a fairer job because Tim made them work harder. So truly a tremendous individual who will be sorely missed.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
President, I want to adjourn in memory of Ms. Mary Ann Mitchell, who passed away on June 12, 2008. She served as President and CEO of CC-Ops OPS, Chairperson of the National Black Business Council, and former Chairperson of the Black Business Association. She has long been one of life's most positive socioeconomic change makers. She was a dedicated woman who showed exemplary professional practices at all time, employing her sophistication, grace, and poise. In lieu of flowers, the family requests that donations be made to Break the Cycle Foundation at the Institute of the National Black Business Council at 600 Corporate Point, Suite 1010 in Culver City. Her funeral arrangements are Friday, June 12th, noon, Trinity Baptist Church at 2040 West Jefferson Boulevard, and also just an amendment or an additional information regarding the services for Pat Tobin, which will be on Friday, June 27th, starting at 10 a.m. at Faithful Central Bible Church, 321 North Eucalyptus Avenue in Inglewood, California.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Last week, Adriana Vasquez, a shining light and relentless warrior for the 1st District, passed on. She died of complications from diabetes. During the darkest years in Westlake, Adriana never gave up. So Adriana, Westlake, and MacArthur Park, in particular, always represented her beacon of hope. This is all, after all, her neighborhood, and her neighbors appreciated her work. Adriana Vasquez was a founding member of the Mass Chalet, More Advocates for Safe Homes, neighborhood watch program for the Westlake area. Along with John Mills and Nola Mott, Adriana organized her neighbors, picked up brooms to clean her street, learned to plant trees to beautify her area, and learned to pressure her elected officials to ensure that her neighborhood get its fair share of resources. Thankfully, Adriana got to see the fulfillment of a dream, the construction of a new police station in the Westlake neighborhood. In fact, we'll be celebrating the opening of the new Rampart Station this coming September. Adriana will be missed by her neighbors, friends, and family, but her efforts and projects in the neighborhood that she called home will live for many years. Rest in peace, Adriana.
Thank you. I'd like to second that, if I may. Any other adjourning motions, Mr. Labange?
Mr. President, this is not an adjourning motion, but I had to read something in the record instructed by CLA, if I could just hold the members on 7A, the friendly amendment that the Department of Transportation report back within 30 days of the proposed establishment of a stolen vehicle recovery fund to reimburse impound fees. The word impound fees, Mr. Clerk, I didn't leave that, for victims of such crimes be funded at $1 increase or then so to turn.
Without objection. We'll
Thank you.
Put that in. Okay. And we'll next be in session tomorrow. That's June 18th, 2008. In the meantime,